I'm Theodore Nguh. Today, welcome Dr. Nicolas Santos. Dr. Nicolas Santos, welcome to Cry Out TV.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. We want to let the viewers know that we're going to have a 40-minute segment with Dr. Nicolas Santos, and 20 minutes will be for questions that will take questions from our viewers that will be able to put it up for Dr. Nicolas Santos. Dr. Nicolas Santos, why did you choose Cry Out TV for your very first interview after your resignation from the IG?
I will first of all wish Happy Independence Day to all Southern Cameroonians, and welcome viewers to this special edition whereby I'm being granted my first official interview after my resignation by Cry Out TV and radio. And I appreciate the invitation of Cry Out Radio and TV. I gave them that privilege as the first to grant me an official interview. First, because I know them for their objectivity and transparency in reporting. Most of the time, 70% or so 80% most of the time, although it's not 100% rating for anything that you can give, you have to withhold some little percentage so that they can do better. And then I am open to interviews to all local and international media, and even individuals who call me anytime. I am not that type of individual that does block people from calling me or block people from coming to interview me. I am transparent and open to anybody who wants to interview me anytime about any subject, and I gave that privilege to Cry Out TV because first, they were the first come, first serve, and secondly, I know about their credibility rating, and then I'm still open to other medias. Then again, there is one last final point which I will make is that resigning from this interim government, which is the acting interim government, does not mean I've resigned from the revolution, and does not mean I'm no more a soldier of the Ambazonia revolution. It's a continuous fight all the way until we arrive Buea. I promise all Ambazonians. And then I know that when I resign, we have medias that are pro-government, the government I serve, that I served, the acting government, interim government, who will not allow me to use their assets because first they suffer, some of them may be suffering from panic phobia, thinking that I may voice a lot of classified materials that will go contrary to the revolution, will go contrary to the operation of the IG. So most of them will not let me go to their networks. None of them have extended an invitation because normally in any government, if we are trying to practice real, genuine democracy, when there's a resignation, the state television should be able to interview you why you resigned first.
Okay.
So I'm very appreciative, and I give this, and Ambazonians can see for themselves that we still have another channel that we can use. And I like Cry Out TV because it cuts across the independentists and the federalists. It cuts across even people who are apolitical in this revolution, and it's made up of one of the best brains, the finest brains, because I appreciate the good job Mr. Nguh has been doing. I will assure you that. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed, okay, let us have an insight of who is Dr. Nicolas Santos. We see you have a broad curriculum vitae.
Yes, fellow Ambazonians, I will let all of you know that I'm Dr. Nicolas Santos. I schooled back in the days in the University of Buea as the first batch of graduates. I was a student leader in the University of Buea, and I had a bachelor's degree in history and political science. And then I moved over working with various companies, shipping lines around the world, and settled visited Germany, lived in Germany, Belgium, Holland, and came to the United States. When I came to the United States, I went to school and I did my master's in I have a double master's in counseling and psychology, with a grade point average of 3.81 and 3.92, and a doctorate degree from the Chicago School of Professional professional psychology in applied clinical psychology, class of 2016. And then I am also certified as a board expert in mental health treatment and counseling, and by California Department of Behavioral Health, California Board of Nursing, and California Psychological Association. And I'm also board certified now as a trainer of trainers in the delivery of mental health care for the Washington DC Department of Behavioral Health. So those are my qualifications academically. Thank you.
Okay. So with your background in mental health, how can you assess the state at this present moment, those refugees and the internally displaced persons?
Generally, the aftermath of war is so profound psychologically and psychiatrically, in the sense that most of the people who have been exposed to the horrors, because under the American Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, we have as a qualification for mental disorders what we call post-traumatic stress disorder and panic phobia. Victims who are exposed to most of these bloody and graphic images, let alone being pointed the barrel of a gun or hearing a gun sound, does qualify you for impairment psychologically. Not to talk of those who have been chased from their homes and have been sleeping in the forest, or are caught in the refugee camps, or caught in crossfire across La Republique and our southern Cameroon's territory, and those who have been displaced, the millions displaced, and the thousands who have been shot in cold blood. People who have been onlookers, who have been exposed to all these adversities, stand the high risk of qualifying for post-traumatic stress disorder for their entire life. And this will really leave them to lead a very, very dysfunctional life in other areas for the rest of their life. So they will need a lot of attention when it comes to health and behavioral health. And that is what I have been working upon since I was appointed as Undersecretary for the Department of Health and Social Services. I have virtually come out with a Department of Behavioral Health policies whereby we will build up in our future Southern Cameroons, which were optimistically about attaining that independence. We will build the Department of Behavioral Health in all our counties to accommodate the population which will be returning and those who have been caught in this vicious cycle.
Okay. Today is the 1st of October. Coincidentally, happens to be an anniversary of the independence of Ambazonia. Now, in your own words, tell me, why are Ambazonians on lockdown when they should be independent, free? Is it a situation where independence was declared prematurely?
So to speak, to respond to your question, we are in a lockdown because we want to send a message to La Republique du Cameroon that first, we are angry, we are disgruntled, we are tired of the bloodshed, the butchery on our people. We are tired of their marginalization. We are tired of our stolen federal structure. We want now not even the federalism anymore, but we want an independent nation, a nation in which we will have our own independent status. We are tired of their butchery by their forces. We are tired of everything. And so we want to show them that we will not be part of their elections. We will not be part of all their gangster type of misleading our people. That's why we have decided to show to them that we are not going to participate in any election with La Republique, because the marriage with them is over. And that is why we are holding to the lockdown.
Okay. Dr. Santos.
Yes,
why did you resign from the IG if you have all this strategy that you're explaining to the people? A lot of people out there think that this IG is a failure. There is no strategy. How do you have independence without a piece of land that you can secure and say, this is Ambazonia?
Yeah, I will respond to that your question by going into the crux of the matter. First and foremost, most people are of the opinion that because I chose this television network to come and do my interview, which is somehow pro-federalist, as they claim, is because I may be drifting from the idea of independence to federation. No, they should not get me wrong. This is the only television station by which that approached me first, whereby I can share my ideas. I resigned from the current interim government, which is not the interim government as a whole, because the true leaders of the interim government are in jail. Sako Ayuk-Tabe and the other leaders that were abducted. They remain the leaders of the interim government, and I was appointed by His Excellency Sako Ayuk Julius Tabe. Okay, coming to the dysfunctionality of the current IG, I'm going to go into that when I come into the reasons for my resignation, which are I've told the Ambazonian people that I will bring it to them when it is the appropriate time for me to bring, and after due collaboration with all the stakeholders of this revolution, to safeguard the integrity of this revolution. One thing I should tell you and remind viewers is that, one, I have my own philosophy sometimes, which cannot be the philosophy of many. Being brought up in a purely American type of training, professionally and as an expert in a field of training which has to do with health and humanitarian service delivery of services, there are 5 cardinal goals which I've sworn under the doctor's Hippocratical oath. In service, in any office, this oath must be upheld. The first thing is what? Is that of beneficence principle, to do things of good all the times that do not are of benefit to the greater majority. Secondly, non-maleficence, you do not do any harm. Thirdly, be of integrity to the people and to the nation and to what you do. Fourthly, you have to incorporate justice into any decision you make. Make sure that that decision is under the law, and what you do behind is what you'll be able to do in public. And last, in any decision you take, you should respect the human dignity and the universal right of others. That is what I believe in. And when those core values are broken in any institution where I work, I will just open the door and walk away. Okay. Let me not go too deep, but let me bring a simple example. When His Excellency Sako called for the coalition of the willing and appointed people into the interim government, it was a good idea to come up with a government. But the time constraint and the refusal of some others to participate in the government made him to hastily pick some people to serve in this government. People who don't know about these 5 cardinal principles of integrity, justice, respect for human rights and others, behaviors and boundaries of others, beneficence and non-maleficence. And what happens? Policies were put in place that the foundation now becomes shaky. It was built on a very rocky foundation. And once a house is built on a rocky foundation, it is forced to have a lot of problems. Let me come. When His Excellency Sako stated that anybody who does misbehaves in the revolution should be put under the boss. That time the boss was full, and we are heading to Buea, and we are still in the boss. Now, in a situation whereby more people are leaving the boss without being put under the boss voluntarily, it now becomes an eye-opener that either the boss has mechanical problems or the boss drivers are having a problem. So if that happens, and now the boss is left with not much passengers from inception, it means we have to look into those problems. And I'll come to those problems shortly.
Okay. Which leads us to ask, our research shows that one of the failures of the interim government is in the person of Ms. Kalesh Bongo. She happens to be your boss. How can you explain to the Ambazonian people what went wrong? Because we also have done quite a good bit of research to find out that this interim government of Sako Ayuk-Tabe is made up of like a mafia gang that controls the interim government. Now, we understand you were appointed by His Excellency Sako
as a spokesperson for the East Coast of the United States. Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you the last man standing? Because from every indication, the AIP, Sako, has actually reshuffled and brought in his own people. Can you explain to us from
Okay,
your boss?
this is what I will tell you.
Yes.
Before I came into this studio, I had done some research work also on what is going on at the moment.
Yes.
Some members of the interim government, because of panic phobia, decided to send out some people to research on my negativity past from childbirth, so that they can use to counter me or to fight me if I should open my mouth and speak. I want the audience to hear this and hear this loud. And they should not fall cheap to any blackmail that will come after this interview. Because they are now researching on things that they want to say. We will blackmail you. We will threaten you. We will kill you if you open your mouth and speak. I am not that kind of person, and you Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians should consider that death on arrival. Because they even went to exile. Oh, in 19 days, it's still as if he owed some telephone bills in the SCNC office. We can use that. Or in this, you don't have to research on somebody's. If somebody's bad, you don't have to research on what he's bad about. It will speak for itself, and then they will be disgracing themselves if they come up with anything like this. Because I was vetted before appointed as the State House, as the spokesperson by Comrade Sako, His Excellency. I was vetted by Dr. Sako before being appointed at the Press House. I was vetted before being appointed as Under Secretary for Health and Social Services. And I am still even currently reappointed as the Director to the Restoration Council under same vetting. So you can't turn around again and come and say he has dirty record, because you will be shooting your own self on the leg. It means you had a failure in recognizing Dr. Nick as not credible for the job. So I am just alerting the audience before I go into various things, because I will be serious right here.
Okay.
I had mentioned that I will speak after my resignation when the time comes, and after talking with all the collaborators or stakeholders of this revolution. I've called almost all the frontline leaders or their closest acolytes. I spoke to Dr. Chuayaba. I spoke to Dr. Sako. I spoke to social media activists like Mark Barretta, Eric Tato. I spoke to Larry Eyong-Echo. I spoke to Comrade Buhabet indirectly. And I decided I spoke to also people who are of the federalist view of things as to the way forward. This is the problem. The interim government came into being with some informations that are withheld, that are always known as classified. The word classified is thievery, is theft. And the classified is also shielded from members of the government, of the cabinet, which means inside the cabinet there is a cabinet that is exposed to the classified, and there is other members of the cabinet who are being referred to as hand clappers of hand clappers. So I used to belong to those category of hand clappers of the IG, as they call, because they did not want to expose some of this classified. And which were disclassified? This classified is that, as I came to discover, is that the interim government looks to me under investigation, because this is what I do for a living. I psychoanalyze. I do critical analysis. I'm led down from research methodology. You rule out for the validity and reliability of something before you can say. If there is the greatest a possibility that the hypothesis is true, then you assume it to be true. Most of the members of this government, even His Excellency Dr. Sako, AIP, who is my friend, yes, he's doing a good job. I don't doubt that, but his hands are tied to an extent. I'm coming.
Santos.
Yeah, I'm going to a certain point that I want you to understand, or you want to come here.
You come there. I just want you not to drift. Now, you had a boss. We did our research. Before coming here, we did our research.
Yes.
We want to know. We want the people from Southern Cameroon to know why, what is going on. Who are these people that happen to be stakeholders? Okay.
The stakeholders, let me go straight to the point.
Yes.
Under the health and social services that I can speak for.
Yes.
When I walked in as a undersecretary, a lot of things are going wrong.
Yes.
In that it seemed as if this was like a private shareholding handed to people as a compensation for their investments in the revolution. Because when a Secretary of State tells you that she was appointed to this position because of her Takembeng on leash,
Yes.
because of her participation in Takembeng on leash, it means that department has been given to her as a property. Or if a Secretary of State tells the Undersecretary that the Undersecretary does not need to know how there is a cash flow and reception of donations from reception to the points of release, and people don't need to call the people who own the private PayPal accounts where this money are sent to, that becomes fishy. And these are the type of things that are the dysfunctionality that are discovered within the HSS. The HSS had a demand and supply route that was unclean, and I made recommendations for the correction of those routes that were never done. Instead, I was withdrawn from the department. If I'm withdrawn from the department and reappointed to another position, it means the person who makes that decision is a stakeholder to the kickbacks of the dirty routes. So to speak, you know that we inherited a lot of problems as a result of the abduction of our leaders.
Yes.
There's a question I want to ask. I don't know whether Southern Cameroonians have ever asked this question. Where was the amount of money that was raised across the world that was in the accounts when His Excellency Sako was abducted? It's missing. It's missing. Secondly, what about SCBC? It becomes a private property of somebody. That is a shareholding within a government. Because we have just lost it with people's money inside, which means that that property was used as a deceitful tool to the people of Southern Cameroons, which no longer belong to us in spite of our hard monies invested in it. The money raised by Comrade Sako and left disappeared.
Dr. Santos.
Look, I want to show you some of the reasons, the remote reasons that made me to be really not okay with what is going on.
When you talk about SCBC, that the money has been siphoned, you also have to talk about the ABC. Because it's privately owned, or is it owned by the interim government?
What I can assure you
Yes.
is that the ABC television is a television that we in cabinet adopted that television be created because the SCBC was taking people far away from the philosophy and principles of the IG.
So is it owned by the IG?
It is owned by the IG. It is the property of the IG, the people of Ambazonia, signed by the acting president, Samuel Sako, and then Chris Anu oversaw all the Secretary Chris Anu oversaw all the running investments and costs and brought it to cabinet, and we adopted and we voted on that. But the problem I want to point out here is that to prove that this interim government was built on a partnership of shareholding, by which some members of some positions were rewarded with their good work or with their financial contributions with departments.
Not by merit.
Not by merit, but with department. That's why we tend to lose it. We'll tend to lose them. Because if we dismiss some members, for example, if you dismiss Kalesh Bongo from health and social services, the lines and the cables of all the financial wranglings and stuff will be blocked or disconnected. So that is how we lost DOD. I want to praise Comrade Sako for one thing.
Yes.
He did well by bringing a TV when he realized that SCBC is a private property of some people.
Yes.
That's the underground network. Then he also discovered that the DOD, which is the Department of Defense, created by His Excellency Sako, right, did not come up with any financial monies at their disposal, were refused to bring any accountability, and said that all information they have is classified. To the acting president, who is supposed to be the commander-in-chief, right?
Yes.
You tell him that information about defense is classified. That is a problem. He disbanded the DOD. Now, I have uncovered that the HSS also has a problem. It's owned by some individuals who are irremovable. So it should also be disbanded. And the acting president himself, accepted with me that it is very wrong for the very person who receives donations and monies and goods and services to be distributing worldwide to sources that are unaccountable, keeping the financial records, being the receptor, being the supplier, keeping the financial records, and being the auditor at the same time. That is flawed, because the person will present to you any kind of report that he has to present, and you will take it. Now, what made me to really, as the immediate cause of my resignation, are the issues in the HSS. I was barred by Secretary Kalesh, who had established her lines from her lines down to the various areas, like Nigeria and Germany and other branches of the HSS. She had a network that she was already operating on. And I was not allowed to look down to investigate what has been done in my new job.
Why would you investigate? Is it that there was some alarm that
Yes.
would prompt you to investigate?
Good. Normally when you take over office,
Yes.
you are given a walk around of the department in your new capacity. When you walk around and you discover some errors or some leaks, you sit down and you call to the attention of the people who have been there about what you see that is not okay. And all is left for these people to work with you to correct those errors. Unfortunately, what I saw were what people were feeding on. And how did I discovered that the resistance for them to work with me to change that was because I was going to alter and change the source of their growing fat and feeding fat.
Okay.
This can be justified by the numerous false claims or accusations you have heard on social media when I resigned. Oh, Dr. Santos had a problem with Secretary Kalesh. He wanted to become the new secretary.
Santos, sabotage has been the order of the day in this struggle.
You know.
We know the struggle because whenever you have a good idea or an opinion, some people believe or think that that opinion, if it's not said by them, then it is not important.
Good.
So we understand that. Now, what baffles some of us is how someone like you will be in the midst of players like this. And we've had numerous reports from Nigeria where we have our refugees complaining, business going on. Now, we want that network to be dismantled, but apparently, or the people want these networks to be dismantled. It seems as if the AIP Sako's hands are tied by some people, and the people must know. Here is a channel of the truth. We understand that these are things where you bring some kind of enmity, but I'll tell you what, we have people dying down there in Ground Zero.
Good.
Families displaced. Now there's a presidential election coming up. So I will think that for the sake of the people down there, we should be able to know, at least we are not expecting you to spill it all out, but give a little bit so people can be able to analyze.
Okay, to be sincere, let me go to the crux of the matter. This forms the basis or the immediate causes of my resignation.
Thank you.
One, it does contradicts the values, the core values of my profession and training to do harm to humanity. Secondly, when I created a forum, that forum was a forum for complaints within the HSS, because I discovered that 8 people had been locked in a room making all decisions for all the refugees in Nigeria, making all decisions for all the shipment of containers in various regions, making all decisions on all the reception of monies and donations, and even reception of monies from the IG and budget, and share it with the way they want and to accounts that are known only to themselves. Now, when during this complaint forum that I opened, which people have said I wanted to create a new HSS. It is not a new HSS. To open a forum for investigation, which I put all of them inside as members, all my other executives, including the Secretary of State. But you know what? They exited themselves. They removed themselves from the forum. Then I opened it for investigation. The prisoners came and spoke. The prisoners came and spoke. The refugees came and spoke. Journalists wrote. Audios were heard. And from there, you come to find out that you can't ship containers. Italy is complaining containers are stuck in the seaport. Germany is complaining containers are stuck in the seaport. Demorich is climbing. Aya Abini came and shouted what he saw with his own eyes, that women are delivering on floor mats. Mattresses are all stuck in the warehouse. Goods are all in the warehouse, they can't share. Some people are selling these things, feeding fat, to the extent of getting married among themselves and living in superfluous hotels in Nigeria, and you call that your local distributors or handlers? And these are the things I pointed out that must be changed.
Yes.
If it's not changed, then we are not going anywhere. And anybody who is not willing to change that means that the person is having kickbacks from it.
Okay.
And that is what I pointed out. And when I pointed out, I expected to be given an opportunity to change it. Not the opportunity to be the Secretary of State.
Yes.
I even recommended to Dr. Sako that if you have to appoint another Secretary of State of Health, put somebody else, not me. Leave me here to correct these issues, or you empower me to destabilize the demand and supply routes that is nasty in HSS. But I was shocked that instead of that, to be given that opportunity to correct it, or to be brought another Secretary of State, or to leave the current Secretary of State and myself and empower me to cure what is here. There is a mess here.
Diagnostic
There's
disease.
misappropriation, embezzlement, and corruption right here. He accepted, yes, the same people are the receptors of donations, the distributors, the financial secretaries, and the auditors for themselves. And the whole place blew out. Before I could knew, there was fighting in Nigeria, refugees beating each other, policemen arresting our refugees, sponsored by some members of the IG who are enjoying those activities down there, those favors. They bring policemen and beat other refugees and lock. The complaints came up to HSS. HSS Chief of Staff Clotilde Chi,
Yes.
and Kalesh Bongo, they will pick the phone and tell refugees that this is the last time you should ever call me. Don't ever call me. We don't talk to refugees. I said, God, some ethics of this profession needs better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because this is a calling. When I did doctorate in humanitarian services, it's a calling that you have to go through some counseling. I was lectured that this is not the field where you get rich.
Dr.
If you want to get rich, go to other professions. But I am not saying that we can't teach them how to do it. But give me the opportunity to teach you how to do it
Dr.
and do it
Santos,
right. Yeah.
We read reports. I can quote, there's one Solomon, I can't remember the other name. There is Miss Tina Ganda.
Good.
We had audios. We did our investigation. And we realized that during that time when an alarm was raised, things started changing. They started doing something different from what they were doing. Now, what we want to know is, we also found out that threats came in that you were going to be removed. It means that they terminated your position even before it was official. Now, I understand Dr. Sako is a friend to you. Did you complain to Dr. Sako about this situation? And what did he say? What was his proposal?
Dr. Sako, as I said earlier,
Yes.
even if you bring Jesus Christ in the IG, if these shareholders who are there pulling the string from behind, they have figureheads in the IG. Let me go into much detail that you don't even know.
Okay.
And I will tell the Ambazonian people. Secretary Kalesh Bongo had told me that Milan is the uncle before I could even come into that department. But now she refuses because things are hot. Let me tell you, there are relationships inside this thing. A cousin and a nephew was appointed because he's a cousin to this. An in-law is appointed because he's an in-law to this. That was the coalition of the willing under Sako.
I know you don't.
And some of them are still there.
I know you don't like to call.
I don't like to call names, but I will call them if
yeah,
it's necessary.
We already know these relationships.
Yes.
We know Dr. or Professor Aim's wife
Yes.
is somehow related to the same Kalesh Bongo.
That is what I hear.
We know Elvis Kometa's niece somehow is Kalesh Bongo.
That is what I hear also.
We also know there is relationship. That's why the money for defense was being siphoned by the guy in Miami.
There is an allegation that
we did some investigations,
Yep.
Dr. Santos, and we would like the people to know, because the people have been contributing. Now, before we come to My Trip to Buea, the people have been contributing. So much money has been taken out from the people.
Good.
Why this is of interest to me is because I've been or worked with some few people in this whole thing, in the Federalist time, like Tapan Ivo, he stole, and I had to take him to court. So it's courageous of you, and we commend you for resigning because you didn't want to be part of the team that is siphoning money
Not
from
even
the
to
people.
go there. For example, I began this without even telling people how I make my income.
Yes.
Which is very important for the Ambazonian people to know.
We'll come to
Yes.
that. We'll come to that. For now, we want to know those relationships within the IG. And are these the stakeholders? Are these the people that put their money and that they can never be dismantled?
What I will tell you is that 80% of it is right.
Okay.
These people who have been running some of these departments from the day of His Excellency Sako, who are still in the cabinet of Dr. Sako.
Yes.
Most of them have relationships. First, number one. Secondly, there's a high possibility that most of them invested their monies or monies in some of the departments that now they want to remain to be the policymakers and they want to hide everything inside as classified. Now, why is that so? Because they will fight anyone coming with a good idea to restructure anything that may make the government to be more objective in working. So that is with the resistance I made in HSS and the resistance in other areas, not only in HSS, because it happened with DOD, it happened with SCBC, it's now with HSS. The ASC is another, because the ASC of alleged relationships that people have, they team to group and work together in committees. The ASC has a committee.
And who was leading the ASC?
ASC was being led by Sofoncha, who resigned.
Yes.
And Secretary Kalesh Bongo, again of my department, is a member of the ASC.
So,
and under them, something very grave happened that the Ambazonian people need to know. Because this IG under which I serve, we have been in cabinet meeting and we have put pressure that we have to take this information out there for the Ambazonian people to know and hold people to ransom and to book.
And what is that?
Monies for My Trip To Buea got missing under Sofoncha.
Okay.
And Secretary Kalesh was a part of the ASC. I want them to come out and clear their names.
So
because people are saying it and grumbling behind that the goods were never delivered, for the resources were never delivered, and coupled with the information we got about the presumptive arrest of Ikome,
yes,
which was like some sort of a cover-up of this money, till today, we want to have explanation about that portion of My Trip To Buea that got missing with Sofoncha and Secretary Kalesh being a member of the ASC. So I was facing problems from two sides, health and ASC. This is a problem.
So apparently that's one of the reasons why those boys that are dying for the sake of every Southern Cameroonian are dying, because monies went somewhere else and they don't have what they need apparently to get that portion of land that they call Ambazonia.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, now my next question, it leads me to this. We've been talking about the weaknesses. Give us a little bit of the strength. We are not here to condemn the strength of this IG.
The strength.
We think there is no strategy, but let us see from the other side. You are an insider.
The strength of this IG is that if the crown fits you, wear it. We can't. The strength in it is that Dr. Sako, who came in, did some good work of trying to clean the house by dissolving two of those things, but some are still there. Then secondly, under this government, or this acting interim government, we have been able to maintain the revolution. Maintaining that revolution itself up to this moment is a credit to this government under the leadership of Dr. Sako. Okay, another strength it is that they were able to discover some of these things that I'm criticizing and fix. But we need to continue fixing. They have been able to reach out to the world and make our case heard. They keep the revolution going. Dr. Sako has been a little bit honest to some extent, because I can't say that he's doing his own, but he carried something that was bigger than he can handle.
That leads me to this. They keep the revolution going. How do you keep a revolution going when that same ASC or Homeland, they kidnap the same people that they're supposed to be protecting? Good. How do you keep that? I have a cousin that was kidnapped, okay, by the IG, the interim government. How do you say that you are defending the people, you're fighting for a piece of land, you want to have independence, and you're oppressing, you're kidnapping people for ransom? Is that the money they want to use to take the people to Buea?
Let me tell you categorically that the ASC was created by the IG as a group, a collective group of self-defense forces which were on the loose. They were not up. The members of our self-defenders were never recruited by the IG. So this was going to act like a shareholding or a parastatal company, which simply contracts bringing these people together and pledge allegiance to the IG. Excuse.
Yes.
I want to explain to you.
Hold on.
So
before you explain that to me.
It's a weakness.
It means the IG was blowing a trumpet that they had self-defense groups, whereas they did not have any self-defense groups.
Let me make it clear to you that.
Yes,
let me make it clear to you
yes.
that His Excellency Sako
Yes.
did not embrace self-defense as an option.
Okay.
Dr. Sako is the one who embraced not only self-defense but active self-defense.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, Comrade Cho Ayaba and Akwanga are the first persons who brought self-defense as a solution to our attainment of independence. I praise them for that all the time as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, Comrade Sako simply embraced this idea by using the already pre-existing groups and also building new blocks which will fall under a body called the ASC. And this ASC basically was running like a company. Let me put it in the simplest way that a common man can understand. Like a company out of the IG.
That means an independent
Body
company, or
out
in
of the
America
IG.
we say an independent contractor.
Good. So what happened is that you only have a liaison person who is the director of, the Secretary of State of the Department of Homeland Security, who will attend these meetings, and then Secretary of State of Health will attend these meetings because some of the people may be injured. And so health has to come in. So when they got into this, they sat there and they took whatever decisions they took, and things started going until it led to the IG disbursing what they disbursed in terms of resources to help them in the revolution. But now, I would say that that is a credit for Dr. Sako to have moved, and this IG to have even moved from no self-defense to active self-defense. That has kept the revolution moving. But now, it is not without its own demerits or weaknesses. I like to appreciate the good side and the bad side. And also talk about the bad side. The bad side in it all is that, one, you have mentioned here that your relative was captured and ransom taken. My extended family was captured in Quen, in my county, in Mezam, without my information. And that is the in-law also, coincidentally, of the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Kizito Elat. The in-law, father-in-law and mother-in-law were captured, and 350,000 francs CFA was collected, and the man had stitches from the hospital, suffering, and they decided to pity him and leave him and give him 9.7 million 50 as what to pay, as the ransom to pay. And for that, they took the wife to the forest. I and Dr. Elat fought this case in the IG with the ASC. My resignation thoughts had been lingering on the air for a long time because humanitarian values violated. And I am from Quen, Mezam County. If you want to talk about the Northwest-Southwest divide issue, I helped Dr. Sako to bridge that. You remember the Northwest-Southwest divide videos we had. So they captured these people for ransom. They take money from them. They don't explain to us in the cabinet how much money was taken, why it was taken, whether it is right or wrong. I've heard sometimes some people from the Homeland Security even come out to defend the ransom taking, but on the media they deny the ransom taking.
Thank you.
That is contradictory. To me, it's contradictory.
Thank you.
And it's contrary to the values.
We've touched that. We believe, or it is a wide opinion, that prisoner of war is accepted. But taking a ransom from the same people that you are supposed to be protecting, it is absolutely wrong. Now, what has happened with the money, 2 million that was supposed to have been raised? We have some figures. They did at least a third of that. Where is the money for My Trip to Buea? The viewers, the audience, those people have been waiting for this question. We know. Where is that money?
Fellow Ambazonians, I will tell you that I've served in the interim government. I was also one of the chief campaigners for My Trip to Buea. I was among the executive members in the IG who donated more than others because I was appreciated exceptionally.
How much did you donate?
I gave close to $3,000. That's a 1.5 million for My Trip to Buea, my personal money. And I also helped this government in other things. For example, when I was running the State Press House, I was supposed to get a budget of about $2,000 to set up my office. I refused, and I bought my things myself, that the interim government does not have money. They don't use that. I'll buy my things myself. I've refused to collect budget from the interim government to run offices within my capacity. I want to use my own money because I believe the interim government does not have money. When I hear the cries on the ground and the suffering on the ground, I've put in energy for 2 years in this revolution, talking, enlightening the people as the Ngambe man of the revolution. I use the Ngambe man, which is the psychoanalyst to the white man. So the Ngambe man in ourselves and the psychoanalyst for the white man. Just to say that I'll be looking at things from an investigative and holistic view, draw analysis of what is moving and what is not moving, so that we can have something good, because it's not only good to criticize. You criticize and you give way forward, right?
Yes.
So My Trip to Buea money, that is the question you have asked me.
Yes.
Let me tell you. His Excellency Dr. Sako made this project as a project that he alone and alone knows what the project is meant for. That is the word again that we say classified. It's classified. This classified in the IG that I serve, I cannot stay in a government that considers crooks of the matter as classified, then my reputation stands
How much
in a
money
risk.
was raised, Dr. Santos?
According to the statistics given by the My Trip to Buea director and campaign team, headed by Director Nguh,
Yes.
who is now in research mobilization at the presidency.
Who is related to Professor Ayim?
What we hear, because let me tell you that when most people turn to hail from the same areas and are surrounding Dr. Sako, people will have the belief that they are related.
Okay.
Because if you look at the director of the treasury that was just appointed, Mr. Richard Nguh, he is from Batibo and Meta area. If you look at Director Nguh, he's from that area. If you look at Professor Ayim, he's from that area. And these are the people that surround Dr. Sakona, and these are the people who can answer the questions. These are the people who answer our questions about My Trip to Buea. They gave a statistics of about $700,000 US that was raised, right?
Yes.
Good. $700,000 that was raised. And the $700,000 that was raised, they gave the names to the county coordinators. The county coordinators and this to know who contributed what and what. And let me tell you and be sincere, what I have even learned is that the money for My Trip to Buea in Nigeria is still sitting in Nigeria. It has not been collected because of some arguments, right?
Yes.
Good. My Trip to Buea money, as I told you, whatever may have happened to what is there and what is remaining now is considered classified. Classified even to members of the cabinet. Classified because in the cabinet, there are hand clappers of the cabinet and there are active members of the cabinet. So the active members of the cabinet, who are the stakeholders in the partnership of the shareholding of the IG, should explain even to Dr. Santos right here what has happened to My Trip to Buea. But I judge, as a psychologist, I do critical analysis. I judge any money contributed, even if it's the $700,000 US, which is about 350 million CFA.
Yes.
This money is supposed to be measured in accordance with what the money has done by the feedbacks on the ground.
Okay.
Are the feedbacks on the ground telling us that about 350 million has been spent? Because we have heard it in audios and videos whereby Boyo, for example, is complaining that they received only $2,000, which is 1 million. In other social activists platform, Capo Daniel and the others have come up to show some statistics. People have complained on the ground that so far for the money for My Trip to Buea, only 90,000 has been received out of a 200,000 that was disbursed. All this information, as a cabinet member who is a hand clapper, I cannot answer these questions myself because I'm left in in a capacity where I cannot answer it, and that's why it was the best decision for me to resign in this dark cloud, because I can't sit with my name in something that I can't explain.
Okay, there is the interim government, apparently from our research, they have a treasurer and they have another treasurer that controls My Trip To Buea. And so you mean that the treasurer of the interim government does not have the figures, he does not know, is that classified even to the treasurer of the
There is a problem. There is a problem. This is the problem.
Yes.
When a new chief of staff comes and builds an environment of tribespeople,
Yes,
surrounding the president, we have been there. I was the spokesman of the president, and at the same time, we advised each other. I will share ideas. We see the direction is going. I take his advice, he takes mine, and we talk together, and we are fine. When a new team comes and surrounds the president and influences the decision of the president, by reacting in the public, that the public eye has already noticed that there is something wrong going on, pushing the president to take decisions that are not okay. This team, comprised of somebody who is a treasurer at the presidency, and then a My Trip To Buea director, who is now the research and mobilization, that the key mission is about going around sensitizing and generating funds. The Secretary of State of Finance becomes a rubber stamp. Because the Secretary of State of Finance and Economy becomes a rubber stamp. There are many of those moves that have been taken that have made some people, being in the interim government, their voices have disappeared and they are now functionless. And those are the people they call hand clappers.
okay.
So, in that situation, many other members of this government, let me tell you, are preparing to resign. They don't know how to resign. They don't know how they can come out and speak about their resignation. And many others who have resigned cannot talk. Because one, there are threats that accompany any resignation. You will be killed, they will kill you, they will bring out dirty things and finish you. That is the type of threats, but Dr. Santos is never scared of those threats.
Okay.
And then secondly, when it comes to some people's positions having been taken and fused into adjunct positions in the presidency to render them less active, and they are not able to speak, there is a conflict going on between the treasury and the economy and finance.
Dr.
There
Santos,
is.
with all this being said, now we will say boldly that the My Trip To Buea is a failure, a complete failure of this interim government. We are not asking your opinion based on all these, what the people have been asking. When you analyze this, there is nothing else we can say other than that it has been a failure. And now, they've come up with a county by county. So it means that when one strategy fails, they develop another strategy. Now, I want to ask this question. How are the people nominated for positions? Because from every indication, it is not by merit. Now, the people would like to know. I personally, I know of people that were jobless, or I wouldn't say jobless. They lost their businesses, like Chris Anu. He had a church in Houston that ended up him owing the owner of that location, and he was a computer repairman. And because of his old use, he positioned himself, and now he is with this IG. And apparently the people, this is the word out there, that he's being paid. So how did he find himself there? How did the people that were jobless find themselves where now they have a job and they're being paid? I think this should be something where people are ready to sacrifice. I understand you have a job. We've checked, we made calls to where you work. So you have a job. You are considered by merit. Also, most of the people that were nominated by His Excellency Sako, we understand that the AIP has reshuffled. We did talk about this. Were you the last man standing? Do you still have some of these people there? How are these people picked or nominated when you have a lot of people there that are jobless or were jobless, and now all of a sudden they've had a job and they cannot leave that job because of what they make out of that job?
Let me be categorical here in answering this question.
Yes.
First, I will tell Ambazonians that I graduated with my doctorate in 2016. Since I finished, I did my board certifications. and I have been working with dedicated healthcare services as the clinical director and as the psychologist associate. It's on Georgia Avenue, and it's a new clinic that I also partnered with my colleague who's Cameroonian to set up. And it's a mental health facility. I also do private job as a private practitioner psychologist. I do counsel, I do immigration work. I'm coming. I want to go to profession.
We know you have a job. We investigated that.
So
we want to know about
I want to tell you,
people.
because people have always said that Dr. Santos doesn't have a job like the others. That's not true. I make about $8,000 a month, which is 4 million CFA a month. That's how I keep a family and a wife and cars and everything. I'll let you know, all Ambazonians to know. The issue is that some people in the interim government do not have jobs. And they have been wishing that this revolution should stay for the longest time so as to reap income from it. Because I will not call particular names because I don't do the research for you people. You people must have done your own research different from me. But I know that Secretary Chris Ano is a good guy. I look at his positive areas where he does good journalism and represents us, which although sometimes it's not 100% because there are some red lines that were drawn that were not respected as well. Maybe the red lines were drawn based on some calculations that resources will be there.
He has gained a reputation of making more noise than delivering.
I'm coming.
Somebody that says Francophones should leave, and today we have our people that have moved to the Francophone
I know those are the
areas.
I know those are the feedbacks of the audience. The audience have their feedbacks even about myself and whatever. But the issue about it is that I think if we are talking of people who are credible in the IG, right, we should be counting him in. For me, in my opinion.
That's in your opinion.
In my opinion.
Because you have a relationship with him.
No, we have good rapport.
Yes, you have a good rapport with him.
Relationship is like we have it in the cabinet.
You have a good rapport with him. That's why you cannot
in the cabinet
people
in the cabinet
them, which is okay.
In the cabinet, I have people whom I have good rapport with.
Yes.
And in the cabinet, I have people who I don't have good rapport with. And if I don't have good rapport with you, it means you are already doing something contrary to the principles of the revolution, right? Good. Okay. How were people selected in the interim government? I know that the interim government asked for recommendations of people to send in their resumes and CVs if they are interested in positions. And when you send it in, they vet on your background check, your viability to do the work, availability, your availability. In most cases, some people are more qualified than others, but they are not available. That is the problem. So those who are available to do the job and willing to do the job are given the job. But unfortunately, the people who say they are available and willing are not fit for the job. And so that's why the cabinet keeps changing and changing.
Okay.
If you see somebody is removed.
Dr. Santos.
Yeah.
See, there is one thing that is alleged, that this interim government, there is no difference between this interim government and the La Republique government that they are struggling to depart ways from. The reasons why I would say this is, in that government of La Republique, you bring in your friends. I'll give you another example.
Nepotism.
Yes. I'll give you another example. As far as I know, Dr. Tata, who is also a reverend, because this revolution is made of reverends and pastors, okay? Also did not have a job, but he's a close person to Sako. I know that personally because in this revolution we've been there from the beginning. And today he has a position, and I guess he's also on salary. That's another person. So I don't want it to look like I'm just straight on Chris Anu. I'm calling people that I know.
Well, whatever you are saying, what I can tell you is what I know.
Okay.
What I know is that cabinet members are not paid, but cabinet positions need some budget to function. The presidency, for example, has a budget to function, and that budget is made in accordance with the need in time, and the budget is tabled to the cabinet meeting to discuss about. My problem is this: when it comes to discuss about the disposing of this budget, we know that they are requesting for budget, but when this budget is paid out and what it's being used for is not told to some of us.
It's not accountability.
For example, I, as the Undersecretary of State for the Department of Health, have defended the Secretary of State Kalesh when she requested about $4,000 from the cabinet. And when she received this money, and when she spent this money and how she spent it, I'm clueless. So why should I know when you are requesting without knowing when it is spent? Is that that's the problem or not? So that's a dysfunctionality to be cured. We understand that the interim government is a baby. A baby has to be born, has to crawl before it walks, right?
Yes.
Now, we are recommending some corrections in the things that are happening, and for us also to get rid of some bad seeds in the interim government. Because let me tell you, the amount of people who have resigned from the interim government are more than the people left inside.
Well, I will commend you again for your courage, and we'll have to let those people that have resigned that are scared that crowd TV is open. They can come in and speak their mind. The people have to know. Yeah. The people should know what the problem is in what they termed as IG. It's so much, it's out there that the people so much believed in Sako, to an extent that there is all this fighting within the IG, the ADC, the ADF, Akwanga's group. Also, we understand that these were your classmates, including Tasang Wilfred. So that puts you in a position where you have a good rapport with some of these self-proclaimed leaders. We call them self-proclaimed because nobody
has voted for an election.
Yes. Yeah. Voted them there. Again, we'll give them merit because they are the courageous ones that have brought themselves out to do what they are doing. They have flaws. We acknowledge we all have flaws, but they cross the line at certain instances, which is not right. They should be able to listen to what the people are saying. In other words, at times they turn to be like dictators. Same thing like what we're trying to come out from, or what the people from Southern Cameroon are trying to come out, or what the people from Ambazonia are trying to dislodge themselves from. So tell us.
First and foremost, I think majority of the Ambazonians find me like one of the closest person to Dr. Sako. But some even go to the extent of misinterpreting the connection I have with him as we being friends. This politics brought us together. Social media activism brought us together. I saw Dr. Sako on the television like he saw me on the television or on the internet, online, as the same. And because of the ideas in counseling, he coming from a Christian counseling perspective and I'm coming from the clinical and counseling base, we formed a combination in terms of ideas and in terms of this revolution. It's my first time to know him in the United States. I never knew him back in Africa. I know Dr. Akwanga and I know Comrade Yaba. We were classmates of the first batch of the University of Buea. And I was student leader with Dr. Akwanga in the same cabinet. Comrade Yaba was also a student activist at the time. So we have worked together in one government. I've worked with Dr. Akwanga in one government as a student government. I was the auditor-in-chief and he was the president of the student union, first student union in the University of Buea. And then I lived with Dr. Barrister Agbobala in Belgium as well. So these are my...
And Tasang Wilfred is
Wilfred is my classmate in high school, Kasbambili. Okay. Yes, 1992. So I'm like, I cut across these people. Even Dr. Makongo. I cut across all those groups of people because they know me and they know what I stand for. From childhood. My father was a police officer though. And you know police officers' children, they are strict like their parents. For example, you go to school, you come back with one exercise book missing in your back, you are in hell. So, when I live somewhere, if I live somewhere, you know there's something that doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Big something that doesn't add up. And one of the things that doesn't add up is the thing which lies at the center of the revolution, and it's the thing that lies at the center of most people's resignation. What is that thing? Accountability and transparency is a problem. And that problem will lead to a situation that some few individuals, because of recklessness, would destroy people's names. Because when they are coming to say this thing is bad, they will not exclude Dr. Santos that he was not there and he has no knowledge. That time is coming. That time is coming, and I see it very near. Okay, let me tell you something. Why did collaboration in DC fail? After all my dancing around with the video and doing work for the collaboration to work, why did it fail? Because of money. Where is the money? Lying in bank account somewhere. Why is it not on the ground? Why our guys are being butchered with 10 guns? These are remote causes for my resignation, right?
Yes.
Good. So, if Dr. Akwanga, Dr. Ayaba, and the others, Mr. John Bakoro, Boha, Bekomoribo, and the others, let me tell you, we cannot pretend that we want collaboration when we don't want collaboration. We cannot be dancing in the line, on the line, the same pattern of exclusivity, then painting the idea that we want to be inclusive. If you look at My Trip to Buea money, which was collected, if it was 700,000 as they claim, because there was no barometer for measuring the appropriate statistics that was put in place. This is the problem. Now, if in DC, we raised $50,000 for the collaboration, and if the interim government had collected $700,000 in My Trip to Buea, was it not time for the interim government to close its eyes on the $50,000 and let those other leaders who are truly want to collaborate and want to do something for this revolution, give that to them as an assignment or as a trap?
Dr.
Take this $50,000, do something, and give us the receipts.
Dr. Santos,
that was never done.
You're talking about those other leaders. We have egoistic leaders like Fobeneh. A lot of these guys, they have a lot of ego that they don't even think that another opinion is relevant. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Okay, when that was in 2017 or 16 when they had this thing where Fobeneh had declared that they're going to have independence. I was there, and I saw the constitution that they had cooked. And I said they should consider this null and void. It doesn't include everybody. Let me tell you something. I had 4 hours, 50 minutes with this man. And all he was trying to do was trying to buy me or convince me or positions and stuff like that. I said, you cannot buy me, okay? Let me tell you what happened 2 weeks after. I was sabotaged. I am a La Republique agent. I'm a Musonge man by his very good friend and right-hand man, Chia Innocent. It's there on Twitter. So this whole thing has just been sabotaged. I will not be surprised if they try to sabotage you. You should be very ready for that. I will not be surprised. That's how they have been operating. That is the reason why some people have stayed back. But I'll send a message to him, to Fobeneh, that see, you don't kick me, because you'll be doing the wrong thing. You know, it only makes me strong. Some people, we have tough skin.
Yes.
People like that, they should be investigated.
There's one thing I would like to tell you.
They have mismanaged funds. I know you're trying to dodge this.
No.
They have mismanaged funds. We call some of the things they have done Ponzi scheme. Okay?
Yes.
They just want to be relevant. I'll give you another example. John Ba Akuro. How did John Ba Akuro get to be the person leading the consortium of Agbobala and Dr. Fontaine? How? They kick and elbow to position themselves. What is going on? Well, we will come to the issue of recommendation. We'll come to that. But, you know, it's good to clear the air. This revolution would have been better if some of them did not have that thing in their mind that whatever they say, it's the final word. And whatever somebody else say, you know, it's wrong. When you come from the southern part, I don't like to go to this topic, but I'll go there. When you come from the southern part and you say something that does not align with what they want, they try to bring this division thing. You see? It is very wrong. Some of us, our very close friends, our right hands are people, our brothers from the northern side. And when you bring this Musonge man stuff, that's how they start bringing all these divisions.
One thing I would like to clear, one thing I would like to state to you is that I'm from the northern zone.
Yes.
But almost all my good friends, all my friends that I associate with are from there.
I was just giving an example.
Let me tell you, you were giving an example.
Yes.
Well, okay. And Dr. Sako,
yes,
we formed the strongest bond in this revolution in the IG, right? I've chosen to come and do my interview with you here.
Yes.
That's to tell you the kind of person I am.
Yes.
For me, we are all Ambazonians, be so southern or northern. The issue about it is that now at this particular juncture where we are in, people are dying. People are suffering in the forest and in the bushes, in hospitals. People are being killed. Genocide is going on. We are losing a lot of people. This revolution would have been won in 28 days. La Republique can't stand us if we are united. I'm coming. No.
28 days?
That is my statistics. If we, all the resources that we have, the manpower, the intelligence, our boys with the readiness, with the appropriate instruments to win this war, 28 days is for us to win this war. If you look at the population on September 22nd, 2017 on the streets and villages of all the counties that came out to denounce La Republique's occupation of our territory. If we had given all these people the appropriate weapons, or not weapons, resources with which the granates and the sticks, with which to deliver this territory.
What do you call granates? Say bullets. Say guns.
No, in other words, we try to talk. We try to say that we don't go that way.
Self-defense.
We say
so
if the people have all the resources
yes.
to stand and defend themselves from the invader, yes. right?
Yes.
Defend their house, defend their neighborhood, defend. So these ideas that were brought by who? The ideas were brought by these two people, Comrade Akwanga and Cho Ayaba, right? If we embrace these ideas, we should provide what we need to provide so that we can win this war within the shortest time possible. And for me, it would have taken 28 days. Why? We are still dancing in the same place because those things are not there. Our boys take over some of their cities and the next day it's taken back from them, because they lack this.
See, some of these people you've mentioned, I can tell you, I think they talk more than they deliver. I'll give you another example. Akwanga was here in Houston and said, "Yo, I needed $25,000 and I'll put code red." That code red never came. See, they say things that they can't do or that they're not ready to do it. You know, there's no reason to preach what, you know, it's not there. Now, coming to that, Dr. Santos, what are your recommendations? This was supposed to be a 1 hour thing, so we should hurry up so we can give opportunity for people
I have a lot of recommendations right now.
Yes.
My first recommendation is that we need to collaborate and bring a lot of people on board. It has not been moving, and that's why we cannot win this thing within the shortest time possible.
People like?
We should bring on board the people that we had at the beginning of the revolution who have left the revolution. We had people we now call the Federalists. People now we now call, you have the AGC or the other groups. We need to bring all of them on board to be able to do this work, right? We also need to come up with, the Ambazonian, the people of Ambazonia need to come up with a revolutionary audit committee. I call it ARAC. The people of Ambazonia have to come up with a revolutionary audit committee, because in a revolution, there can be audit. And audit means that in that process of audit, we are not going to audit only the interim government. We audit everyone who has received a dime from this revolution. And this should be independent and come from the people. So the people will have to sit down, talk about this, and come up with an audit committee. Each member of each group of the government has to send 2 liaison members to work in this committee of audit. We call it the Ambazonia Revolution Audit Committee, ARAC. If we form this committee and then bring in each member from the county, 1 member each from all the counties, then we bring in 2 liaison officers from the various groups. We will carry out an objective audit that will report to the Ambazonian people on how all monies that have been received by any of these leaders was used, the receipts of all these monies, and what it was used for. Although some of the information may remain classified within the committee, but we want to see into it that the people of Ambazonia's money, the money that coming from the people of Ambazonia was not mismanaged or embezzled or misappropriated, because the results we have been having on the ground does not reflect the balance sheet that we are getting here. Okay. Then secondly, I want to say that this committee will not be answerable to any government leader or any group. I've spoken with some members, some leaders of this revolution. They have accepted, who received money. Comrade Cho Ayaba has accepted that he will send 2 members from his own committee to come and explain his audit, right? So I believe this is a path forward for us to open an audit that is answerable to the people of Ambazonia to know, because this is also good for the government and good also for the groups, because when people trust that their money was spent judiciously, there will be more donations to come.
Dr.
That is my second recommendation. I'm still giving recommendations.
Okay. You come back to your recommendations. I just want to, say something.
Yes, go ahead.
When you say Choayaba has acknowledged that he will be part of this, how
that he will send his own members of his group.
He should start by auditing Tapang Ivo, because Tapang Ivo stole from the consortium and decided that he will go and get cover from Ayabacho, thinking that he has a military. But what he should understand, or he fails to understand, that he is going to pay this money, or or Ayabacho will pay that money on his behalf. Because you cannot take a thief and you put behind you for cover and say he's your spokesperson. So how is he going to send 2 people when he has a thief right there?
One moment. This is it. Understand me very clearly.
Yes.
These 2 members going to be liaison, because the audit committee is answerable to the people. They don't report to the leaders or to the groups. These 2 members will be sent as information officers to carry information from the audit committee, which is answerable to the people, to the leaders and to the groups. What will happen is that anybody that has received money in this revolution, even the activists, Mark Barretta, Eric Tato, if you have raised any money, even myself, Dr. Nick, who was sitting on the microphone announcing my trip to Buea, any contribution that came through me, right, will be audited.
I'll tell you what.
Okay, what will happen is that the decision will be made by the members of the 14 counties, which will be drawn from the individual counties to form that committee. And any leader who does not want to partake in this audit, the Ambazonian people will discipline this leader by not supporting him in any action henceforth. And he will be suspended from that committee. Because if the Ambazonian people do not put in place such a committee of audit, then let me tell you, we are going to spend another 365 days losing at least a minimum of 15 Ambazonians dying, being killed a day. And imagine if we are losing these 15 people a day for 365 days, then times 2 years. We will win. We will win a nation without winning the war. In the sense that we will have Ambazonia, but with no population to govern. And that becomes a problem, because the resources were mismanaged, or the resources did not meet the target. And now, I, Dr. Nick, or you also, Mr. Ngumba, you have yourself to be blamed by history for writing a negative history by not coming out to speak at the appropriate time that you were supposed to speak. This is one thing that has pushed me to come here today to talk, because I don't want to be remembered in history as the Ngambe man of the revolution that caused the revolution to fail.
Okay. Well, you see, when you talk about this, I'll tell you something.
Yes.
I will give credit to one activist, and it's because he took the courage to say it as it is. He has his flaws. That's Eric Tato. The fact that he tries to call on accountability, it's the only thing so far that I identify as being good from this guy.
Good. Let me add something.
The rest of it all, the Mark Barrettas, they know what they are profiting from this revolution.
Let me add something to that about Eric Tato. Eric Tato called me just before I was to come here.
Yes.
And he told me something. Dr. Nick, this is Independence Day. You need to use King Solomon's wisdom to know how to go about these issues. Is the interview for today appropriate for you? I told him, Comrade Tato, what you have been crying on your platform is what I am going there to talk about. Have you not been calling for audit? That is what I'm going to talk about. Have you not been calling for county by county? That is what I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to differ a little bit with the county by county. Although I don't know really how Dr. Comrade Tato put it, because let me tell you people, that is the way to go. The way to go, in my opinion...
These are your recommendations.
These are recommendations. In my opinion, is that Ambazonians should go village by village. In the way we have grown up, we know that once a matter is handled by the villages, it is 100% successful. It doesn't need to pass through third parties who will bring about bureaucracy and complications. If my brother is sick in Africa, I don't need to give the money to Mr. John to go and put in an account and he sleeps there and then he dies. Or be thinking when that money will be depended upon and what will be allocating here. You send the money to the closest person that is close to your brother or your brother. That is the way I look at it right now, or else we risk keeping people who will be keeping the revolution to go on motion, because keep on going years after years, because they have found a new source of income and a new profession for themselves. So this is what we want to avoid. Village by village. You can call it LGA by LGA. I come from Mezam, for example. You have Nkwen, you have Mankon, you have right up to Bali. You have Bambui, you have Bambili, you have Mankon, you have Bafut, you have Mendankwe. If the Mendankwe people here sit and for this month they raise $6,500 that can help the revolution. They know the president of the Mendankwe Association in the village that they can wire that money to. They know the vice president, they know the treasurer. So if these villages can go village by village, that will be much faster, because we run a risk here of transferring the same corruption bureaucracy in the diaspora down there. Because these people that would have been projected as country heads, they are answerable to who? They should be answerable to their people, not answerable to a government or a group leader, because it will lead again to another confusion that we have just had over the other funding vehicles.
Well, by this time, I think the people of the IG should understand that power should go back to ground zero.
To the people. Ground zero.
Those are the people that have put their lives at stake. Most of the people here are very comfortable in their houses, and while those guys are dying, it is our opinion that they should empower those guys to defend themselves. See, there is a difference of fighting a war and there is a difference of defending yourself. We believe that if a man has 3 children and this government comes in, kills the man, kills 2 of his children, then that one child that is left has no option but to either stay and die with the bullet or defend themselves.
Yes.
That is
it.
Self-defense.
Yeah. Self-defense, yeah.
Yes. Now, it is okay because you will not want that to happen to you.
Yes.
Now, but the problem is they are not being empowered. They should be empowered. Every dime, every dollar. We watch some of those activists that say it as it is. Yes. There's a guy, J. Carr, that we've watched him saying things like that. It is a good recommendation. For $1 to stay here, everybody in this IG and all these other ADF and all that, they should go and look for jobs to do. They should look for jobs to do.
What I will tell you,
those guys that have put themselves at risk to go and die, they should have every dollar to the last cent.
What I will tell you is that the war that was declared to us by La Republique, we have been going by the saying that, as Honorable Weber put it, when injustice becomes the order of the day, a resistance becomes a duty. When a government also that is supposed to fight for us, give us the necessary resources, or you, the people on ground zero, the necessary resources to carry out a short-term operation, fails to accomplish that task, then you, the people, have to take other measures by which you people have to discipline them, cut their source of energy, and then find alternative means of equipping yourself to make the revolution be short and quick, so that all of you are not be eclipsed on planet Earth. So I'm calling on our people on ground zero. I've heard of their cries. I've heard of the fact that diaspora is a confusion to the struggle. And I know now that after all my investigative analysis, I find out that there's a gross or a big disconnect between the way finances have been raised and how the finances are delivered on the ground.
Okay.
And so our people must not be left to all be killed. They better be wise now to know that I won't sit in this generation and be remembered in history as one who was there that never spoke to save lives. It is high time now we intervene to save the lives of people, for them not to be misled. Let us create alternative channels by which funding will reach our people. Let's not keep putting our offerings on the same basket that we have been putting, because it's not yielding the results at all.
So we have this. Would calling a ceasefire for humanitarian reasons be a betrayal at this time?
We have gone too far. We have gone too far, and we won't retreat to be considered slaves anymore.
Okay.
The journey continues. But what we do now is we want to reinforce ourselves by having the real resources that we need. We were supposed to have had all those resources by now, but they did not go where they were supposed to go. And that's why the audit will tell us where those resources went to. And that is why I am here to tell you that let us empower the people to make that decision to audit and to make that decision, because not a government is supposed to audit itself.
Well, Dr. Santos, it is a recommendation. Most of it comes from those of the other camp, people that do not like this IG and all that. We see all this. But it is alleged, we have done some investigations, so we'll consider it a 50-50.
Yes.
That you have people in this IG that communicate directly with the same people that you people say, oh, we don't want this marriage anymore. I'll give you an example. There is this guy, Akere Divine Achu, that is a nephew to Simon Achidi Achu. There is the I man that it's alleged also that he has connections with this same La Republique and a couple of others. Now, how do you maintain people like this in this IG? Again, the people are saying that there's a lot of their information goes out there. Things are not working properly because the IG has been infiltrated. It is a recommendation by the people that this IG, it should be reshuffled. If you are not performing well, resign. They should follow your footsteps to resign. It needs people that can perform. If they have the right people that can perform, maybe the others like Akwanga, the Ayabachos, they'll come in. I don't put Boebet in there because I think he's an opportunist. You know, he was supposed to stay on communication, but he decided to have his own group. He came in as somebody that was going to do a secretariat that everybody will come in, and the moment we know it, it turned out to be something else. Same with John Baakuro. He actually hijacked the consortium from the Balas. You know, there is another guy I want to recommend that is in the UK, barrister. You should know him. The name has come out. He is one person that we admire because he says it as it is. He says it the way it is. He was given a position and he looked at this thing and said, you know what, I cannot be part of something that is already a mess. And the thing is, he is not a federalist. So he believes the fact that, you know, the Southern Cameroon should go a separate ways with La Republique. But you see, every day they call him La Republique because of his opinion. It is wrong. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something. This is my analogy. As I maintain to you, the interim government, the idea of the interim government was not a bad idea. But it's how the foundation that it was built on is not a good one. Now, the interim government is just waiting for its time, because so far as our leaders are in jail,
Yes.
when they will be released, I know nothing will happen to them and they will be released. And when they are released, we will have the interim government, we will have the government, not the interim government, right?
Yes.
And then that government will be open to others who have good ideas to contribute. Because for now, the others are coming, are telling us they want to come in. Whatever goes on behind the scene that is not happening well has led to the mistrust. and some of them are very quite childish. I will tell you that a lot of members have resigned from this interim government without talking.
You said that before.
I remember Barrister Bob Harmony when he quit from the interim government cabinet. I was in there. He said, "This is very childish. Goodbye."
Okay.
That statement now makes me, when I was taking that decision to resign, I saw it as very, very childish as well. When he said something which is really reasonable. And finally, let me tell you something. The amount of people who have even resigned, but their names are still in positions. They don't participate in anything. They just went mute. And the amount of those who have resigned without coming out to say why they resigned are so many. In most cases, anyone who has spoken about why he resigned comes out after 1 year or 8 months to start recounting stories. Let me ask you this question. Is it good for you on Independence Day of this nature? Because Independence Day for me is like a new year. We are waiting for another 1st of October that is going to come up next year. We have ended this chapter of the whole year leading to Independence Day. We are looking forward to the next year's Independence Day. I believe that is a moment that we have to calculate how close we have come to Buea. And if we have not come to Buea that close, what is it that we can do that will get us closer to Buea? And that is a day that somebody like me, who has been in the government, who has served in various positions, from spokesperson of the region to State House Press Secretary to Undersecretary of Health and to SCNC Secretary General, can come here and tell you these are the cracks and leaks or the mechanical problems with this vehicle going to Buea. Let's correct it so that we can get to Buea faster. Because if we don't correct it, then we'll win a nation without winning the war.
Okay, Dr. Santos, we'll now want to go to what our viewers have as questions for you. And we'll randomly pick those questions, and you take maybe a minute. You know, the lesser the better. We've been online more than we were supposed to have been.
Okay.
Apparently, it's our first. We'll call on those questions. So we'll look at it and see the questions that we'll pick out that is out of what we've already discussed about. Yes. Then we'll conclude. So questions.
Are you seeing the questions?
Somebody said, you forget about Ayaba the thief. That person's name is Alejandro. Well, Dr. Santos did not come to call names. Apparently, you will not expect him to bash someone he calls his classmate. He's a gentleman. How does all of this help our people dying every day? Do you, Lesane George, do you want to take that?
Yes.
Sure.
How does this help our people dying every day? What is happening is that I am giving strategies, and recommendations moving forward, whereby we can get to Buea faster, and whereby we can eliminate some of the debts. Because let me tell you, I have mentioned here to the Ambazonian people that we won't be fooled and deceived any longer by people who are using this revolution to feed fat and make income for themselves and discover a new profession, and deceiving us that we are going to Buea faster than ever. We are instead going far away from Buea if we continue in this light. So this interview is going to help our people in that the people will discover who and how and when to send resources to the people that really needs them so as to end this revolution. Or if the people see that the people can make a decision for themselves, if this revolution is not going to succeed, it's better that a ceasefire comes in.
Dr. Santos, I know Ayaba is your friend. I want to go back to that question.
Good.
That question, the reason why I'm coming back to that question that somebody alleged
I can take that question
is
as well.
because I know you will not answer it 100%.
I'll answer it.
The thing is, we don't understand how Ayaba leaves his place of residence to the United Kingdom, that he's going to sign for an oil deal because he's desperately looking for money for self-defense. That is absolutely wrong. I don't want to condemn him. I just want to say he's very courageous, but he should come out and say that it was a mistake. There is nothing wrong in somebody that you consider yourself as a leader to accept, acknowledge that you did something wrong. I personally did not want to attack him on that because I saw it like people have to make mistakes. We are bound, we are human beings, we make mistakes. But the fact that he did not acknowledge is wrong. What do you have to say about that?
What I would say is that there are many Ayabas in disguise. Ayaba isn't alone.
Okay.
Comrade Ayaba will have his own flaws as well.
Yes.
As everybody. I, Dr. Nick, have my own flaws. Whatever happened, we have to sit and look back. We know that in this revolution, there's a lot of smear campaign and setups. People may set up someone to fall into some things. And that's why I always caution the leaders of this revolution that whatever you say in the dark, you should be able to say in the day.
Thank you.
That's my philosophy.
We have another question there by Mr. Z. Roland. Do you think the government should be dissolved? Short, please, so we can go to many questions as possible.
The answer to that is no. The government needs to be cleaned from all those stake and shareholders who are now running parastatals within the government and having kickbacks and profits.
Thank you. You are a smart guy. You know, let me tell you something. That's a tricky question right there. It means that you want improvement. Had it been you said, yes, it should be dissolved, I'll look at it, you know, in a different way. That's a very genuine answer that you've given. Do you think it's fair to spend the people's money on budgets for departments while our fighters are dying with hunting guns? That is from C. Von Trapp. Thank you, C. Von Trapp.
That forms part of why I am here today and why I resign.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to our next question. Rachel Mukanya, if all these leaders are fighting for independence and our people are dying, why can they not unite?
That forms also part of the question of why I am here and the reason why I resigned. Because of the remote reason of resignation is after I had spent all the energy on the collaboration and we raised money in DC only for 2 days afterward or 48 hours or a week after to see the disgrace that happened amongst our leaders. That's to tell you that there's a newfound job and profession in the revolution that gives them an income that they want to keep us for as long as we stay in this revolution by not cutting it short. And I will not be party to that. That is why I resign.
Okay, next question. Thank you, Ms. Rachel Mukanya. From Eno Rima, can this IG be disbanded and reconstructed in a legitimate way? I think that is
exactly. That is why I am here, and that's why I'm giving recommendations on how to do it. And if you need people to fix the IG, some of us who have resigned in the IG stand a very high possibility, both those who have spoken and those who have not spoken, to reconstruct the IG.
Okay. From Nguh Festus, when are we expecting the outcome of the audit?
Good. I will call on members of all the 13 counties. I'll be talking to, the 13 counties. I'll be talking to the heads of the counties, the various village groups as well. I'll be talking with some of their leaders, and I'll be talking with all the other leaders for them to see those who will be willing to send their 2 persons to audit and to join the audit committee. These 2 persons will only be a liaison to those leaders and of the groups, because the actual audit will be done by independent members of Ambazonia community whose names will be announced to you here on Cry Out Television. We will pick out those members and we will ask on the various village groups on ground zero and in the diaspora to give us people who can participate in that audit, and then we'll call on the government to turn in all documents and all leaders to turn in all their documents. What is classified that may expose us to the enemy will not be revealed to the public, but will be revealed to Ambazonian and the county heads that will be selected by the people on ground zero. Well, we don't want to deal with any county.
We think that will not be happening, because when you have people that this revolution is how they milk their money. How do you
There's
think
a good question there about that. That's what you want to know. What do you think the IG is doing that?
Is not correct. I think you already answered.
I already answered that. I said that
Lord
you cannot entrust the audit
Yes, Lord
to the
Judge,
IG.
I think
How can you audit
Dr.
yourself?
Santos answered that. Can we move to the next question? So how do you plan on changing this? How do the people change for the good? I think this instead divides us more. That is from Lesane.
What divides us more? How do you plan changing this? How do the people...
He just gave some kind of a recommendation that can help, which is accountability. And
Yes.
that is the only place, I repeat, where I give
Accountability
credit
help us.
to this guy, what's this activist name? Eric Tato. Yes,
yeah.
because he always preaches accountability. Let's move to the next question.
We're taking your question. Send them in, please.
From Jack Fiasco. How do you think the people down there will be able to give accountability if send the money like you guys mentioned?
Yeah, if you, I know that we have a lot of village groups, village meetings all over the world. We have that. We have those. The Bakwere people have a meeting. The Nkwen people have a meeting. The Bakosi people have a meeting. The Bafut people have a meeting. And there is no day that money has been channeled through those meetings that gets missing. So that's a reliable vehicle, because every individual in the community knows that on this day, this money was sent here. Okay. And so I don't think that is going to be a problem. Because the problem here is the bureaucracy involved with these governments that collect your money and go and put it in the bank. And at the end of the day, the money is lying here in the bank while all our people are slain down there. That is inadmissible, and we have to correct that.
Okay. I think at this time, we have taken more time than we planned.
There's the last question. How do you plan on financing the IG without stakeholders? Okay, the stakeholders are some of the people who have invested in the revolution. They better come out and tell us after they invest how much they invested for the people to pay them back, so that they can leave our government, the government of the people of Ambazonia, in peace.
Okay. At this point, viewers, we'll say we'll come to the end of this segment on Cry Out TV. We stand to bring in ideas that are the truth. We investigate our facts. We don't go or we don't rely on a hearsay. We talk to the people. We want to thank Dr. Santos for flying from Maryland to come to our studios live to talk to the people of Southern Cameroon on this day that is their Independence Day. Also, our phone number, 346-400-8337. That's the Cry Out TV's phone number. You can call us. We are on WhatsApp. You can send your messages, recommendation. We have our app. You can download it, Cry Out, on Play Store and iOS. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Cry Out Radio/TV, and we promised to do our best. We are busy. We are not consistent on a daily basis. We are looking for people that can volunteer, that can assist in helping putting the word out. Cry Out is not just for what is happening in the people of Southern Cameroon. We'll also be talking about the people of Rohingya. Actually, we are out to talk about people that are going through marginalization, people that are going through certain issues in different parts of the world. It's a team we're building, and we will need people that can actually offer their services. And then if we think that, you know, your services is worth it and you're dedicated, why not? We'll put you on a stipend. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter the country or the village. From our app, you can be a reporter. You just need to contact us and we'll direct you on how you can report situations happening wherever you are. And at this point, my name is Theodore Ngumba, signing up for Cry Out TV. Thank you all very much, and see you next time when we be able to have someone live again, especially those that have resigned and have decided not to talk to the people of Southern Cameroon. We'll sign off now. Thank you.